Coming to the ileocecal orifice, meaning the opening where the ileum joins the cecum. This is the ileocecal orifice. This is the ileocecal orifice. It is this is the cut inside the cecum. So the ileum enters the cecum obliquely and partly invaginates into it. Means the opening of the cecum goes into the opening of the ileum goes into the cecum inside, forming lippus superior and inferior to the ileocecal orifice, forming a superior lip and the inferior lip. These lips of ileocecal valve meet medially and laterally to form ridges called frenula of the ileocecal valve. Called frenula of the ileocecal valve. So this is one frenula, this is another frenula. However, the circular muscle in the is poorly developed in them, and the ileocecal valve has little sphincteric action. So it has a little sphincteric action because the circular muscle in them is very deficient, and it does not stop the contents from entering from the ileum into the cecum. But because of these two lips, the cecal contents are unable to go back into the ileum. That is important. Coming to the ileocecal recesses, the presence of the peritoneal folds in the vicinity of cecum creates a superior ileocecal recess, inferior ileocecal recess, and retrocecal recess. Superior to the cecum, inferior to the cecum, and behind the cecum there is the retrocecal recess. Coming to blood supply of the cecum, the cecum is supplied principally from the ileocholic artery, which is the last branch from the right side of the superior mesenteric artery. So from the superior mesenteric artery, there's the ileocholic artery which divides into inferior division and superior division. So from the inferior division of the ileocholic artery, the branches arise which go to the cecum. The terminal arcades of the ileal arteries provide a collateral supply to the cecum via anastomosis with the ileal branch of the ileocholic artery. So ileal branch of the ileocholic artery that provides an anastomosis with the collateral supply with the anastomosis with the ileal branch of the ileocholic artery. Lymphatic drainage of the cecum. The anterior lymphatic vessels pass in the front of the cecum and drain to the anterior ileocholic nodes and nodes of the ileocholic chain. The posterior vessels ascend behind the cecum to the posterior and the inferior cholic nodes. Lymph drains from the nodes in the ileocholic chain into the superior mesenteric nodes in the root of the bowl of the mesentery. Coming to the vermiform appendix. So this here is the vermiform appendix. So it has come from the Latin word vermis means worm-like and forma means form. So because this structure, what we call a vermiform appendix, looks like a worm. That is why it is called as vermiform appendix. It's a blind-ended muscular tube attached to the posterior medial wall of the cecum. Posterior medial wall of the cecum, about 2 centimeters below the ileocecal junction. About 2 centimeters below the ileocecal junction. This is the ileocecal junction here, and below it 2 centimeters. This photograph is taken posteriorly. That is why you are suspended by peritoneal fold called mesoappendix. So it has a fold of peritoneum called mesoappendix. Devoid of tinea coli. It does not have tinea coli because the tinea coli start from the base of the appendix on the cecum and then the ascending colon. appendices, epiploiky, and circulations. So this variform appendix, it does not have Taenia coli, appendices, epiploiky, and the circulations are what we call as hostrations. They are absent in variform appendix. Coming to the mesoappendix. So mesoappendix, mesentery of the appendix. So mesoappendix is a mesentery of the appendix, a triangular fold, and it is variable. It is variable in shape. It occurs the whole length of the appendix. It occurs the whole length. The breadth of the mesoappendix usually falls short of the length of the appendix. So breadth of the mesoappendix is short of the length of the appendix. The body appendix is kinked on itself, while the free border of the mesoappendix ends. Hence, it is coiled like a worm and is named the variform appendix. So, the body of the appendix is kinked on itself, where the free border of the mesoappendix ends. So, where the free border of the appendix ends, it bends the variform appendix over itself and forms a worm-like shape. That is why it is called variform appendix. Appendicular vessels pass the free margin of the mesoappendix. So the appendicular vessels pass through the free margin of it. So it has free margin and attached margin on the appendix. So on the free margin here lies the appendicular vessels. The variform appendix is 9 centimeter, normally range from 7 to 11 centimeters in length, but can range from 2 to 20 centimeters. So length is variable, and on an average, it has 7 to 11 centimeters and 9 centimeters. The diameter of the appendix is 1 to 7 millimeter. It is relatively longer in children and decreases after 40 years of age. Means in children, compared to the dimension of their intestines, it is longer. What is McBurney's point? Commonly represented by a point at the junction of medial 2/3 and later 1/3 of a line which extends from the umbilicus to the right anterior superior iliac spine. So from the anterior superior iliac spine, from the right side anterior superior iliac spine to the umbilicus, we draw a line. At the junction of medial 2/3, so medial 2/3 and later 1/3 is this is the McBurney's point. What is the importance of this McBurney's point? The point indicates maximum tenderness in a patient suffering from inflammation of the appendix. If the person is suffering from appendicitis, here will be the maximum tenderness. The patient is asked to show with a finger where you have pain, and the person puts his finger at this spot. That is its importance. Parts of appendix. So it has 3 parts: base, body, and the tip. So here, this is the appendix pulled here. So appendix is pulled from the cecum. So we have the base, is the body, and here it is the tip. The body attached to the cecum. The base attached to the cecum. The body is narrow, tubular, and contains a canal which opens into the cecum. So the canal opens into the cecum. The cecal opening is guarded by an incomplete mucus fold called as valve of Gerlach. So valve of Gerlach may be there. That is a incomplete mucus fold. Tip, it is least vascular and is directed in various directions. So tip can be in any direction and is least vascularized. You can see in the pre-margin of the mesoappendix here the blood vessels. The blood vessels are in the mesoappendix. There are various types of appendix, depends on location. We have retrocecal posterior to the cecum. We have splenic in the direction of spleen. These are the different directions of the. These are the different locations of the appendix which can in different persons. Some person can have retrocecal, some person can have splenic. Promontoric towards the promontory. Pelvic at the foracolar position. Mid-inguinal, sacrocolar position, and paracolic. These are the different positions of the appendix which can be in different persons. Coming to blood supply of the appendix, appendicular artery, branch of inferior division of ileocholic artery. So inferior division of ileocholic artery, we have it is appendicular artery. This is the appendicular artery, or the inferior division of the ileocholic artery. So you can see going behind the ileum, this appendicular artery reaches the base of the appendicus through mesoappendicus. There is also a recurrent branch supplies base of the appendicus and anastomosis the posterior cecal artery. So we have a recurrent branch also that supplies the cecum and it anastomosis here. So it anastomosis with the appendicular artery. This appendicular artery is an end artery. I suppose you know what is end artery. End artery is that artery, if it gets blocked because of any reasons, the organ to which it supplies does not receive collateral anastomosis, so the organ is likely to die of gangrene, because if it is blocked, so that it leads to an gangrene, ischemia, and finally gangrene of the organ. Just like we have end arteries in the heart, coronaries, they are end arteries, what we call as functional coronary arteries. Coming to the nerve supply and the lymphatic drainage of the appendicus. Nerve supply, parasympathetic is coming through vagus and sympathetic E10 segment of the spinal cord. Lymphatic drainage into the superior mesenteric lymph nodes via ileocholic nodes. Coming to applied anatomy of the appendicus. Inflammation of the appendix is known as appendicitis. In this condition, it is usually necessary to remove the appendix. The operation of removal of appendix is called as appendectomy. What are the anatomical factors producing inflammation? What are the anatomical factors which may predispose a person for appendicitis? Appendix is a blind tube, means it is distal and is not patent. So if a fecalith goes inside it, fecalith means a hardened stool. Hardened stool, fecal matter, if it gets hardened and gets entrapped in the appendicular canal, may obstruct the lumen and precipitate attack of appendicitis. Or if a worm enters the appendix, that may block it and that may lead to inflammation, and that causes the appendicitis. Supplied by an end artery. So if there is problem with the vascularity of the pancreas, if there is blockage of the appendicular artery, as I told you, it is a end artery and it will cause appendicitis. Presence of lymphatic follicles in the submucosa. This very important. Appendix has a lot of lymphatic follicles in its submucosa. So if there is inflammation of any lymphatic follicle patch, that may act as obstructing the lumen and will cause appendicitis. Thank you. Any questions?